we kind of treat Jesus more like a roommate than our king. Oh, we want him to come over. In fact, we want him to come over and fix anything that he sees broken. Man, would you come over and fix my marriage, Jesus? Go ahead and fix my finances while you're here, but don't go rearranging the furniture. I've got stuff set up in my life just the way I like it. I don't need you coming in and messing up things, rearranging things, moving things, getting rid of things. I like it just the way I've got it set up. The Holy Spirit supplies within us everything we need to produce the fruit of godliness in our lives. Without the power of the Holy Spirit supply for us, we can't live the lives that God's created us and called us to live. The Holy Spirit is our connection to God, the vine, to Jesus, to the supply that we need to live the life that he's called us to live. If we are not connected to the vine, we have no strength, power, or ability in and of ourselves to produce the fruit that God has called us to produce. This is why that fruit is actually called the fruit of the Spirit, because it's the Spirit's work in us, giving us the resources we need, the nutrients we need, the life-giving supplies we need to produce the fruit that God has called us to produce. And as we surrender our hearts to him, he takes up residence within us, leading us, comforting us, encouraging us. We begin to be transformed from the inside out. We call this process sanctification, becoming more and more like Christ. We have no ability to do that on our own. We must rely on the resources that God has supplied for us through the Holy Spirit living within us. So if we want to experience the inner strength that Paul prayed we would, we have to learn to cultivate a daily habit of surrender. We must come to the Lord every day through prayer and engaging in his word. We have to learn to depend on his power and strength in our lives by inviting him to take up permanent residence in our heart. And as we do, as our inner man is strengthened by the Holy Spirit, we gain the power we need to give Jesus full access to our lives and to make himself at home in every corner of our hearts so that our faith will continue to mature and grow deeper and stronger. And that's what Paul prays for next, that we would grow in deeper faith. He says in verse 17, then Christ will make his home in your hearts as you trust in him. Some translations read that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith. Your roots will grow down into God's love and keep you strong. We are called to be strong as believers, not weak. Not because we're strong in and of ourselves, but again, because the Spirit of God lives within us. And we got to remember that Paul is writing to Christians here, the church in Ephesus. And so the faith that he's talking about wouldn't be saving faith. It wouldn't be the faith that we place in Jesus when we first come to him for salvation. He's not simply praying that Jesus would be present in our hearts, but rather Jesus would be at home in our hearts. He says he's going to make his home in our hearts. You may not know this about me, but I am a little OCD when it comes to my personal spaces. I'm a very clean guy, a very organized guy. I like stuff a certain way. I like balance. I like symmetry. I like everything in its place. I don't like clutter. If you ride with me in my Jeep, it is very, very clean all the time. My idea of dirty would probably be most people's idea of being very clean. I just keep my stuff very clean and very organized. My spaces are always like that. My office. If you walk into my office right now, everything's in its place. The pillows on the couch and the chairs are all where they need to be, increased in the center like I was taught they were supposed to be by the interior designer that did it, right? I just like things the way I like them, in the places that I put them. I tell my staff, you can use my office anytime I'm not here, but it better look just like it does now when I get back or you're fired. Okay, maybe not fired, written up, but not fired, right? That's just how particular I am about my places. And I had two different roommates. Once I moved out, from my parents and began living on my own, I had two different roommates. How many of you have had roommates before? That's not a great experience. My roommates were great dudes and I loved them with all my heart, but they were slobs, both of them. And I would come home from work and all the stuff that I organized and put in its place, I'm looking for stuff and now it's over there. And then I go to the cabinet to find food and it's in the refrigerator. I'm like, why'd you put that in the refrigerator? And now I still have to deal with this with my kids. For the life of me, I cannot teach them how to put stuff back in the refrigerator where it goes. Everything has a place in the refrigerator. Am I wrong? The ranch dressing, the bottle of ranch dressing goes on the shelf on the door, not in the main compartment of the refrigerator. Because then when I'm trying to put the big pot of chili that I made yesterday in the refrigerator, I got to set it down on the counter and move the 3 bottles of ranch that my son had out for his afternoon snack because he didn't put it back on the door. I like stuff where it belongs, the way I set it up, the way I organize it. And as I was thinking about this message and thinking about this word that Paul's writing, that Jesus would make his home in my heart, I realized that sometimes we kind of treat Jesus more like a roommate than our king. Oh, we want him to come over. In fact, we want him to come over and fix anything that he sees broken. Man, would you come over and fix my marriage, Jesus? Go ahead and fix my finances while you're here. Go ahead and fix my body. I need some healing. Would you fix this relationship? Would you fix my kids? God help us all while you're here. But don't go rearranging the furniture. I've got stuff set up in my life just the way I like it. I don't need you coming in and messing up things, rearranging things, moving things, getting rid of things. I like it just the way I've got it set up. When you leave, Jesus, make sure you leave things just the way you found them. Kind of goes to the message last week. We want all the blessings of the kingdom, but we don't want to really bow our lives to the king. But Jesus is saying, no, I don't want to just be present. I want to be at home in your heart. I want access to every closet, every room, every corner. I want to see all the things you're hiding. I want to see all the sin you're covering. I want to see all the hurt and shame that you keep tucked under the bed. You don't want anybody to see. All the stuff you put in the junk drawer when people come over. Y'all got a junk drawer in your kitchen, right? It's usually the drawer on the end, and you just throw all the stuff you don't know where to put anything else in. Or the room in your house, when you find out company's coming over, you just shove everything in that room or that closet, and that's off limits, right? But Jesus is saying, no, I don't want there to be any off limits. I want it all. The good, bad, the ugly. I want to move into every room. I want to make myself at home in every space. And I want to rearrange things. I want to get rid of some things. I want to bring some stuff in. I want to remodel the entire thing so that you can experience the fullness of life that I came to give you. And that's what Paul is speaking to here. Only when we let Jesus have full access can we begin experiencing the life-changing, transformative power of his Spirit living within us.